Capitulum XXVIII, Pericola Maris, Lecture 8, Versus Centesimus, Quinquagesimus Sextus, usque ad versum centesimum, duode octogesimum. Noli putare me servire male. Do not suppose that I prefer to be a slave. Nam ego quoque liber natus sum, for I, emphatic also, was born free. Natus sum, perfect tense. Nequisquam qui liber fuit, libertatem sperare desinit. And no one who was free, perfect tense fuit, desinit, gives up, stops hoping for freedom. Desinit, present tense, with the complementary infinitive sperare, libertatem, the direct object of sperare. In Italia, domino severo serviebam. In Italy, I was serving, I was a slave to a strict master. Domino severo, the dative case. Serviebam, the imperfect tense. Qui a me postulabat, ut opus sordidum facerem. Who was asking of me, imperfect tense, postulabat, that I do mean work. So a verbum studiendi et dicendi, we can say more particularly a verbum postulandi, asking, imperfect tense. So you see that the facerem is in the imperfect subjunctive, not the present subjunctive. Who was asking that I do? Mean lo sordidus aum, so work, opus opetus, third declension neuter. And so you see opus in the accusative singular, just like the word corpus, corporis, or tempus, temporis. Nec mihi peculium dabat, and he was not giving me a slave wage or slave allowance, some little compensation that a slave could save up and perhaps buy his freedom with some day. Peculium, peculii. Si quid prave feceram, if I had done something incorrectly. Recall that after si, nisi, num, and ne, ali goes away, that ali quid that we would expect to see here, and instead we just have quid. So it's not what, but something. If I had done, pluperfect tense, something incorrectly, prave, adverb, the opposite of recte, correctly. Dominus imperabat, ut ego ab alii servis tenerer et verberarer. The master was ordering, was giving a command, that I be held and be whipped by other slaves. So imperabat, the imperfect tense, followed by these verbs in secondary sequence, the imperfect subjunctive passive voice tenerer et verberarer. Sed heri e villa fugi, but yesterday I ran away from the villa, ut verbera vitarem, so as to avoid a whipping. Here a consecutive sentence. So as to, with this aim in mind, I ran away. This was the consequence of my running away, to avoid a whipping. Fugi, perfect tense. So vitarem, imperfect subjunctive. The running away happened where this was the result in order to avoid, with the purpose of avoiding a whipping. This also, I suppose, perhaps not a consecutive sentence, but more of a verb of striving, endeavoring, fugi, so a final sentence. And really there is a certain overlap between the two constructions. we can point to certain verbs or expressions that seem to be a bit of both. But we can translate this certainly into English as, but yesterday I ran away from the villa so as to avoid a whipping. Recall that verbera, verberum, third declension, neuter plural, the nominative would be verber, verberis, but we see it in the plural for this sort of expression, a whipping, a beating. Atque ut amicam meam viderem, ac semper cum ea essem. And so as to see, I ran away, fugi, in order to see, so as to see, my girlfriend, viderem, imperfect subjunctive, active voice, and to be with her always, semper cum ea essem, essem, imperfect subjunctive. So all of these dependent clauses hanging off of, depending on that perfect tense verb, fugi, I ran away. Multis promissis, ei persuasi, ut mecum ex Italia proficisceretur. I persuaded the dative case, persuasi perfect tense, ei the dative. I persuaded her by means of many promises, multis promissis, ablative plural, to set out with me, ut proficisceretur, to set out with me, mecum, from Italy, ex Italia. So persuasi perfect tense, setting up this dependent clause, and then we see the imperfect subjunctive, passive voice, but it's a deponent verb, proficisceretur. Lydia enim Rome vivere mavult quam in Grecia. For Lydia prefers to live at Rome, Rome locative, rather than in Greece, quam in Grecia. Ustia igitur hanc navem conscendimus, ut in Greciam navigaremus. From Ostia, we got on board this ship, boarded a ship, conscendere hanc navem, and conscendimus perfect tense, in order to sail, so as to sail, navigaremus, imperfect subjunctive, active voice, first person plural, in order to sail into Greece. Gubernator Lydiam interrogat. The helmsman, the captain, asks Lydia, Tu nequoque domino Romano serviebas? Were you also a slave to a Roman master? Minime vero, ego nemini servio, nisi domino nostro, qui est in celis. Nemo potes duobus domini servire? Not at all, Lydia says. Minime vero. No way at all. I, emphatic, I serve no one. I serve the dative. Nemini. I serve no one except our Lord, nisi domino nostro, qui est in celis, who is in heaven. This word sometimes used in the plural, celi, celorum. It's just sometimes, just as in English, we speak of the heavens, but we can translate this as just in heaven. Nemo potes duobus domini servire. No one can serve two masters. Duobus dominis, dative case. Certe non leto animo Roma profecta sum, et difficile fuit mihi persuadere, ut amicas meas Romanas deserrem. Certainly I did not set out from Rome with a happy heart. Leto animo, ablative of respect, in respect of my mind, animus animi, happy. Or it could be an ablative absolute. My mind not being happy, I set out from Rome. Roma, ablative of separation. Proficiscor, proficisci, profectum esse, deponent verb, so passive in form but active in meaning. Et difficile fuit mihi persuadere, ut amicas meas Romanas deseredem. And it was difficult to persuade me. So we can say it was difficult, or we can also say persuading me was difficult. Fuit, perfect tense, difficile, neuter, predicate of the infinitive persuadere as subject. Persuadere takes a dative object, and there it is, mihi. Persuading me was difficult. Persuading me of that dependent clause, as it were. Persuading me to abandon, to leave behind, to desert my Roman girlfriends. Deseredem, first person singular, imperfect subjunctive, active voice. Nec promissis solis medus mihi persuasit ut secum venirem. But not by means of promises alone did Medus persuade me to come with him. Persuasit, perfect tense, active voice, mihi, the dative object of persuasit. To come with him, this dependent clause following on persuasit. Venirem, imperfect subjunctive, because persuasit is perfect tense. Secum, with himself, that is pointing back to the subject of the main sentence, not the subject of the dependent clause, which has changed from Medus in the main sentence to Lydia in the dependent clause. Sed etiam donno pulcherrimo, but he persuaded me also by means of an extremely beautiful present. Pulcherrimus, the superlative degree, the adjective from pulcher. Ecce annulus aureus gematus, quem amicus meus prope centum sestertiis emit mihi. Look, the golden bejeweled ring, which my boyfriend bought for me, mihi dative, for nearly 100 sesterces. Prope, an adverb, nearly, centum indeclinable, but in sestertiis we see the ablative of the specific price. So not the genitive of the indefinite price, but the ablative of the specific price, which my boyfriend bought for me, emit, perfect tense, emit, present tense, another one where the difference is slight, and seems all the more slight in the third person singular. Lydia manum extendens, digitum annulo aureo ornatum gubernatori ostendit. Lydia, stretching forth her hand, shows to the captain her finger decorated, adorned with the golden ring. So digitum ornatum, the direct object of ostendit, probably in the present tense. Then the ablative annulo aureo, tucked in the middle. Gubernatori, the dative case. Extendens, the present participle with the object manum.